Did you know only 26% of golfers consistently break 90?
I mean, that is
and only
proof
4%
in
of
the
golfers
pudding
break
right there.
80.
From
And well,
here
in this video, I'm going to
here,
show you how
just
you can
look at the
exactly
difference in that. You need to
outsmart
stand
course
way
designers. With some simple golf tips, you can quickly implement, quickly lower your scores, and take straight into your next round. Let's get into this video. So today we're looking at 3 key areas. Number 1, those scoring clubs, and you know yourself which ones they are, the ones you know you should be hitting the green with. Number 2, and I don't think anybody's ever thought about it like this before, course designers actually design a course to get you in trouble.
So they purposely want golfers to get into trouble, so it's more difficult to get out.
100%. Like if you think, well, we'll take a hole, right? The bunkers are put in a specific place, so golfers hit it in the bunkers. Whereas by the end of today's video, everyone's going to be sort of outsmarting course designers. And the final point, we're going to look at today is the fact that you don't always have to hit driver off the tee. We sort of default to going, okay, well, I'm on a par 4, I'm on a par 5, I've got to use driver.
So the majority of golfers then think, right, I'm just going to try and hit it as far as I can.
Yeah.
How many golfers would you say, let's say out of 10, how many, and you're on a par 4, how many golfers would you say just go straight for driver then?
90%, 9 out of 10. So on what? And I think that's...
When do you do that?
Let's not go on to that bit. Okay, so we're going to get into this video, and this is really designed to help you outsmart golf course designers.
So I've got a prime example here. This is the 15th hole, and this is where you don't have to always take driver, or an example of that you could apply. Now at first glance, there looks like a lot of trouble, and this is what I was meaning about course designers. Course designers have placed water there and a bunker there, right in your landing zone. Now we all get a bit gung-ho and think, okay, I can make that 220-yard carry. Whereas in reality, if I said to you using the 70% formula, could you make that carry 70% of the time? The honest answer to that would be probably not, okay? And I know that might sound harsh, but this is the reality. So let's head to the tee. I want you to think about it this way. Wide open par 5s with no trouble. Obviously, smash driver. But narrow, tight par 4s like this, I want you to do this. I want you to get your laser, or if you have a watch, or use your phone to get your yardage to the trouble. I want you to find out how far it is to the trouble. So, in this case, if I laser the water to the water, right from this tee, is 180 yards. I'm now going to choose a club in my bag that is never, ever, 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 ever going to reach that. Now you might think that's defensive, but I'm taking that trouble out of play. I'm going to play then up towards the green and then onto the green. I'm looking at this going, I've probably got a shot here. I'm going to try and make my 3-pointer by holding a putt. But what I'm guaranteeing is I'm keeping a blob off my scorecard. And if you keep a blob off your scorecard, that's how you lower your scores. So I think, ooh, a cold day like this, 5-iron, I think. Or it could be like a hybrid for you. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what club it is. All that matters is that you know now from the tee, you've got to use a 70% rule. You laser or find out how far it is to the trouble and choose the club that will never, ever reach it. This is such a smart play. I'm going to aim just right at the trouble down that fairway. I know though, I'm never going to reach it. So that was the first shot of the day. Whoa! But you know what? Safe as houses. And I can probably still hit the green from there. But if I can't, I'm still going to guarantee I'm going to hit it in 3. 70% rule from the tee. If you can't carry the trouble 70% of the time, take a club that is never going to reach it.
I get what you're saying there. There's not really much point in taking something on if you know that you can't do it effectively, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like I guess anything else if you want to do it.
Yeah, like riding a bike, if you learn to ride a bike, you wouldn't take the stabilisers off before you fully learn to do it. And I guess it's like there isn't a lot of excitement with golfers if you're stood at a tee thinking, oh god, yeah, can I take on the water? Can I take on the bunker? But then if you don't, it ruins your round before you've even started, I guess.
Yeah, and you've seen my dad when he comes round after having a bad round.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know it. You don't even need to ask how is his round gone because he's just got a face like thunder. But yeah, there's just yeah, I've seen so many golfers play, well, hit from a tee shot, and it's like sometimes they hit it within like 5 seconds, and it's like you've not even thought about where you're hitting it. There's no. Okay, none of us like slow play, but you don't just want to. You need to think about where you're hitting it.
And that's my point. Like, you've got a bit of strategy now from the tee. Let's just see our ball here. It's finished bang level with the water. And the next shot we're going to look at is, obviously we're not going to hit perfect shots all the time. So when you do hit it in trouble, in the trees, what is the formula to get out and get as close to the green, but also not take on too much risk? Now you might be thinking, what the heck have I got in my hand right here? Well, it's Huel. I have this on the go. Now, if you're busy like me, where you have a full day of work, or I'm a full day of coaching, or we're out here filming, I need to keep full and on the go. Well, this is the Black Edition chocolate flavour, and it's nice. Well, it's more than nice, actually. It's awesome. You like it as well, don't you?
I do.
Right, okay, so it's got 40 grams of protein, 26 essential vitamins and minerals. It's a meal in a drink, and it literally takes you 30 seconds in the morning to make. Now, my little tip right here is, I like half oat milk, half water. It's got 0 artificial sweeteners, it's low in sugar, and it's perfect for people that are busy and on the go. Now, if you want to try this, I recommend the Black Edition chocolate flavour, but also I've got my eyes on the banana one too. That one looks good. That one looks very good. Use my link, use my code right here, and you can get 15% off your purchase. So, let's get back to this video. Let's get in the trees. But yeah, check out this link down below. Let's have some Huel.
Wow. Now, this is what my caddying was all down to. Have a look at this right here. When I had caddied for Tom, if we turned up and we'd chosen the right club and finished that far short of the trouble, I was like, come on, that's exactly what I want to do. So, prime example, right there. So, let's jump into the next one here. We're gonna go into the trees, because inevitably we are gonna hit some bad shots. So we need to know, how do we keep the ball low, what club should we use, and how do we use the 70% formula from the trees. First thing, club selection. Now, I like to go with 6-iron. Now, I know most of us will probably have a 6-iron. Most of us then go into maybe 5 hybrid, 4 hybrid. 6-iron is my optimal club for that poking out the trees. You might think, well, 4-iron or a lower lofted club. No, I think it's a good happy medium of getting a little bit of air, but still being able to keep that ball down. Right, first lesson, 6-iron. And this is what me and Tom said. Let's have a club that we just use. Let's have a club that we just use. Now, the idea of this shot right here is to get you out of trouble and keep blobs off our scorecard. I don't think we can expect to make par from a scenario like this, but the conversations I would have with my player as a caddy is, how can we get this ball from here and onto the green and give us a chance of making a putt for something? And what I meant by that was making a bogey at worst, or making a net bogey at worst if you're an 18 handicap or golfer with a shot on that particular hole. So the first thing we need to decide is, what route or routes, depending where we're watching from, are we going to take? So let's have a look at this here.
What would a club golfer typically do then?
Oh, well, club...
Because obviously you're saying what you would suggest.
Yeah.
Let's say you play with your mate, you know, Josh, for example, and he was to walk up to a shot like this. What shot do you think he would take?
He would grab 4-iron and go for that tiny little gap right there.
But why would he go through the tiny gap? Is it because he's dying to get on the green?
100%. Dying to get on the green, and that is where the green is, essentially in this direction, through that small gap. Not that one there, Alex, that one there. But that's what most of us do. We just go, and it is tempting, that little thing in our mind, like trying to take on the water.
It's excitement, isn't it?
That's it. But it sounds bad, this. Essentially, excitement ruins scorecards. Now, I'm not saying I want you to be boring, but I want you to be smart. So, that's a really good question there. That leads me on to this bit. So we've got 3 options, really. We can go out here as ultra safe in here. We've got option 2, a little bit closer to the green. And then we've got option 3, which is directly towards the green. Just to be clear, we've got this gap right here as gap 1. We've got, to keep me warm, this gap right here as option number 2. And option number 3 is this gap right here. This tiny little gap. Now, this comes back to the 70% formula. What one could you pull off 70% of the time? Definitely that one. I think. I would say this one is borderline. This one, I reckon 5%. But this is the one we're choosing. This is why we blob. Let's keep that out. So, my recommendation is look at 3 options every single time you're in the trees. 3 options. Let's go really hard, medium, easy. Now in this case, I actually think the medium is the shot to take because there's minimal risk. I'm actually hitting then away from the water more. I'm hitting into the bigger part of the fairway. I'm also getting slightly closer towards the green. So now we've done that, we've chosen our club. This is how I'd actually hit the shot. So let's get into this. Grip down, dead easy. Make the lever shorter, right? If we could spin around here, Em, that'd be great as well. You're gonna wanna move the ball towards the back of your stance, okay? So watch this. That's where I would normally have 6-iron. We're trying to keep this ball low, keep it down. I'm gonna move it to here, back in my stance. I've also gone narrow stance. I've got more shaft lean. I'm taking loft off that club and putting weight on my left hand side. That right there is my setup, okay? So that would be normal. That's how I'm now setting up to it, okay? From here, I keep my weight on my lead side and I make slow swings. And what I mean by slow swings is, the more speed you put into the shot, the more spin the ball has. The more spin the ball has, the higher it's going to go. We don't want height. We want to keep the ball down, we want to keep the ball below these branches. So ball back, hands forward, weight on the lead side, keep the speed low. That's how you're going to poke it out. I would also say to Tom as well, picture it for me. Look at target and have a few practice swings of how hard you think you've got to hit it. Okay, here we go. Let's poke this out. Look at that. Back out, into play, perfect scenario. And actually, you know what? That leads me nicely on to the next point. Hitting the green with those scoring clubs. So let's head there now. A lot of you are probably thinking, get these clubs out. Alex, why are you not caddying right now? Like, well, 1, family. 2, I just found it really hard living out of a suitcase 24/7. And fair play to all the caddies that do that. I mean, it's probably very different now to what it was when I did it. But yeah, fair play. And now I get to use all that knowledge, all those tips, all those advice to help people in person and help you specifically in this video today and many others. Okay, so now we're talking about those go-to shots. 110 yards, right? And I want you to apply this to if it was 130 yards, even 80 yards. My point being is, right here, I could hit a full out, 100%, like I'm talking like this effort gap wedge to get there. But could I hit the green 70% of the time doing that? No, I reckon it'd be more like 50%. Might look fancy, but 50% of the time I would probably hit the green. Whereas, if I show you this technique now, take 1 club longer, any time, and you know what clubs you should be hitting the green with, right? And that will sort of be a sliding scale depending on handicap. Okay, I appreciate that, but you know, you think, okay, I should have hit the green with that club. Well, if you're in that scenario and you're taking that mentality, think of me on your shoulder and apply this. The first thing, take 1 club longer. So I've now got pitching wedge. This is roughly around, that's 50 degree. It's about 46, this I think, about 46. I then grip down. So I've got even amount of grip, top and bottom. So let me
How do people usually grip it?
Well, most people usually grip it like they go right to the top. And when you go right to the top, that is correct. Like, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it makes it a little bit harder to control. I think going down just makes it a little bit easier. It's a little bit shorter, control the club face, but also I find people get a bit more over it and able to sort of find the middle of that club a little more, which strike is a big thing, especially on these shots. So first thing, grip, and just look at that there. So it's in, on there, just like that, nice and secure. We then put the ball a ball further back in the stance. Now remember, my pitching wedge would be roughly around the middle here. I'm moving that another ball back, so you can sort of see how it's sort of towards the back half of my stance. If you were doing this with 8-iron, it might start somewhere there and move to somewhere like that. So essentially, if you've got an 8 iron, you want to move it to where your 9 iron ball position would be. If you've got a pitching wedge, you want to move it sort of further back in that stance. You're moving it further towards your trail foot. Weight, 60-40 lead side, and you're making some swings where you don't swing past shoulder height back to shoulder height through. And I can't reiterate this enough, Em, to everybody. I say this all the time, and I think I say it now is a bit too much a throwaway comment. Gear 3. And what I mean by gear 3 is, think of 5 gears in a car. 5 is like, it's a terrible noise for a car, sorry. Gear 5 would be like your full speed. Gear 3 is like a moderate speed, isn't it? Safe, always sticking to the speed limit. So that would be something like this. I know I can hit the green 70% of the time doing that. I mean, look at that, straight down the throat of the flag. Oh, be the club. We're going to have to see where that finished. We are going to have to see where that finished. Let's jump up to the green. Can you see what I'm saying here? How easy was that? Wow, look at the greens here. Look at the green. I mean, we're talking, are we November? Yeah, we are in November, which is a scary thought. It's nearly getting to driver season. Look at them. And look at that shot. Look where it pitched. I mean, that is proof in the pudding right there. Now, I'm not saying you're going to stick it that close every time, but if you're hitting the green, there's a huge stat me and Tom always talked about. The more greens you hit, the more boring your golf is, and the lower your scores will be. Because even if you 3-putted, but you hit the green in regulation, the worst you're ever making is a bogey. That is the end of today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on that bell. And if you want any help with your golf game, make sure you pop them down below. Em will read them out, we'll get you sorted out. But if you're not a subscriber, I won't read it out.